Hello everyone, and here we are back with another episode of Keiara's Tech Adventures. Today I will be looking at like CPUs basically. So I'll try to explain a bit of what I know about CPUs because I don't know a whole lot honestly. But well, let's get into it. So it's coming up to Cyber Monday. It's just been Black Friday, but obviously there's still going to be Black Friday sales. So what should you look for when you're buying a CPU? So basically, I have a list of some of the CPUs that are on sale at the moment. They're not really all on sale, but the ones that you can buy at the moment. So basically, you've got your i3s, your i5s, your i7s. Now, these are obviously Intel processors. Now, I'm not going to be recommending any AMD processors for this video because I would not recommend AMD at the moment just because basically they haven't released anything in so long. I mean, Zen is coming out soon, maybe. But yeah, I'm just going to be talking about the ones that are good for their price at the moment. And basically, if you want an AMD one, you're probably going to have to buy super good cooler. You're probably going to need to overclock it and stuff like that. Sorry, we're probably going to have to overclock it and stuff like that. And I don't expect everyone to know what to do with AMD CPUs to make them actually worth their while. So we'll just be looking at Intel CPUs at the moment. So you have your i3s, which are like the low end, basically, basically very budget CPUs. That's how I describe them anyway. I am no expert, by the way, so yes, I'm no expert. i5s, which are usually the best for the price for performance. So basically, you have the best price performance ratio on these. So usually these are the ones to go to for gaming because you don't really need the power like that you get from like i7s really. I mean, if you want to play on like ultra settings and stuff like that, maybe then you go for an i7, but really, when you're gaming and you obviously do have a budget, you don't have unlimited money to throw at PCs, then you'd usually go for an i5. So then you have your i7s. Now you have a choice between Haswell, Skylake on here. I'm just using Scan's website as a reference because I live in the UK. If I was going to buy PC parts, I'd probably go to Scan or Amazon. But obviously, I don't know where everyone would buy from. So we'll start from the top. This is the high end right here. So this is like you're building a monster PC. You have like a £2,000 or dollar budget or whatever, and you have like a lot of money to push towards your CPU. So you have stuff like the i7-6700K, which is actually what CPU I have in my PC. Now, you'd only really buy this CPU if you were going to overclock, because basically you wouldn't spend the extra money if you weren't going to overclock, because you could buy the normal, the normal i7-600, 6700, which is right here, which is, let's see the difference. Well, it's not that much of a difference anymore, but obviously there's like a £20 difference. If you're not going to overclock, there is absolutely no point buying the K version because you're just paying more money because it has a K on the end and it's not going to do anything for you basically. So that's why you buy the i7-600K. You have a lot of money to spend on the CPU and you were going to overclock it. You do have a good cooler as well. I would not use a stock cooler actually. I do not think this one comes with a stock cooler, the K versions. I do not know for sure, but I don't think it comes with the Intel stock cooler, so you would need to have your own cooler. Here we have the Haswell ones. These are obviously the last generation before Skylake, so these are still good, don't get me wrong, but honestly, like, I would probably buy Skylake just because it's the exact same price basically on here, and I mean, this one has a core clock of 3.4. This one has a 3.1. So obviously you'd be paying more. Well, you'd be paying the same price, but for this one you get less, and you'd have an older version, and you'd have an older socket with the board as well. But I mean, honestly, probably you'd go for the more higher one, unless you already had, say, a motherboard with the 1150 socket. Then obviously it would be cheaper to just buy this one because you wouldn't have to buy a new motherboard. But at the moment, we're not going into motherboards, just CPUs. So yeah, you usually go for this one. It's the same price, and it's better basically. Okay, so the i5s. Now you do have the K version of this. For some unknown reason, it is the same price as the non-K version. Actually, it is like 10p cheaper. So, I mean, you might as well go with the K version for this one. It does have a slightly higher clock, as you can see here, high base clock. So you might as well go with this one. But honestly, it's like you're not gonna get much difference between the two. So the one before these ones is obviously you have your 600K for your i5, or you have the 6400, which is just below the 6500. Obviously, that's the one that you're probably going to save the most on. But honestly, it depends what games you're playing. Well, really, it doesn't depend what games you're playing. It depends what GPU you have. So if you're at the point where you're like, I need to upgrade my CPU, then obviously you're going to have to find, I mean, it's kind of hard to judge what CPU you'd need for gaming because honestly, gaming doesn't really use your CPU. Like, it's mostly your GPU. So when you're thinking about buying a CPU, you shouldn't be like, oh, I need the most expensive CPU to run the best games, because you don't. You'll need a good GPU to play the best, to play like the highest games or the highest settings or whatever. But it doesn't really depend that much on your CPU anymore because most of the processing is done by the GPU. But obviously, you will need a good CPU to keep up with your GPU. Otherwise, you can get something that's called a bottleneck where your CPU is holding your GPU down. So, say you have a 1080, you wouldn't really want to buy like the lowest i3 processor because it is like going to hold your GPU back. I mean, I don't know if this would so much because it is a newer Skylake one, but obviously it's a dual core. It's not going to really help your GPU in that sense. So if you had like a 1080, you'd probably be looking at a Skylake, maybe i5 or maybe an i7. Probably a Skylake i7 as well, because they're the same price as the Haswell ones. I have no idea why the Haswell ones are still the same price, and that bugs me. So the Haswell ones are pretty good still. So you have your i5 4690K, which is a good CPU, but obviously you'd probably just want to get the newer model, which is the Skylake one, because for some reason this costs more. It costs more. So really, like, if you're on a budget, i5 is the way to go. i3s, you wouldn't really look too much at these for gaming. Like, you could if you wanted to make a really, really budget PC, but honestly, it's dual core, and I mean, the last time I used a dual core was in like a Pentium processor, so I wouldn't recommend getting an i3 for gaming anyway. But obviously, if you are on a budget, you can still look at these. Like, these are the Skylake ones; they aren't really too expensive. The Haswell ones, you probably wouldn't look too much at these either because they're around the same price again because of Intel's great pricing. But yeah, that's what you'd really be looking for. i3, budget. i5, budget gaming. Well, not really budget because it is more expensive, but best price per performance. And then i7, which is down here. If you'd really want to spend a lot of money, you don't want to upgrade for ages, that's another good reason to get an i7 maybe. Like, you're going to keep your PC for like at least 3 years or something like that. You don't want to upgrade the CPU. i7, way to go. So, hopefully, that has explained a bit more about buying CPUs, which I know a lot of people do get confused about. Especially, I don't think there's actually any on here. I'd have to double check because I don't know the names specifically, but they get misled by, say, a laptop or something is presenting itself as having an i7 when it actually has a mobile i7. Whereas, like, if you look at all these are quad core. Mobile i7s can actually be dual core, and they do not have anywhere near the performance of any of these because these are full desktop CPUs. I can't actually see if there is any, but usually, a big giveaway for these was if it has M3 or M5 or M7, that meant it was for mobile. But I do know that they have changed it, so the mobile ones do have i5, so it can be misleading. So just watch out for those. And obviously, if you're like stuck between like two and you're just like, oh, should I really buy this one over like this one? Like, how much power am I going to get more? What I'd recommend is going on to a benchmarking website, which is like you type in, say, Intel Core i5 600 versus, say, an Intel Core i7 700. You type that into Google. Usually, it come up with a little benchmark thing, like a website, and then basically you just look at the difference between the benchmarks. Basically, it'll give you a load of numbers you probably know. You don't know what it means, but basically, it's like this one is this much higher than this one, and basically you have to think to yourself whether basically that's worth it for you for the money that you'd have to spend. So hopefully this has helped and not confused you more. But yes, that's basically my guide on how I buy CPUs anyway. I haven't really went into the Haswell E ones actually. I'll just touch on these at the end. Basically, these are if you have a lot of money to just throw at your PC. So, yeah, these are the 6 core one. This is like the entry level one. This is the Haswell E6 800K, and basically this is £400. It's going to perform better in more DirectX 12 games, but I am not sure how many of those there are actually out at the moment. But either way, if you was looking at this and you'll have to think to yourself, do you really play that many games that use DirectX 12? Otherwise, you might as well go with the Skylake 700K because, well, you're going to get more power per core out of this one than this one. I mean, it's only really utilized in DirectX 12 games. This one is a step up from that one. It's very, very, very similar, except you have 40 PCIe lanes. So, I mean, I don't really know much about this, but I'm guessing you can upgrade more like GPUs. You can put more GPUs in and stuff like that. And that's as far as I know. Someone please correct me if I'm wrong. That's just a bundle. Here you have the step up from that, which is an 8 core. You probably would never need to use this for gaming. And then the step up from that, which is a 10 core, definitely would not need to use it for gaming. I'd say these two were like basically the stop that you should have. Like, you'd never need a CPU this powerful for gaming unless, well, you'd never need a CPU this powerful full stop unless you were doing stuff like rendering or stuff like graphic design and all stuff like that for a workstation maybe. But for gaming, I wouldn't say spend this much money on a CPU. I would just say take it and go spend it on a massive GPU or maybe get two of them instead. Like, there's not really much point in buying either of these two for gaming at all. Okay, so to wrap things up, if you liked the video, give it a like. If you want to see more videos like this, subscribe. And as always, leave any comments below on videos that you'd want to see, and maybe any comments correcting me on stupid things I have said. So, thanks for watching, and see ya!